Welcome to the Premier League show. Doing this for a few more weeks while we are still in the Premier League. Now, welcome to the Premier League show. We're going to be talking about... We're going to start by talking about the race for the top four.
Yeah.
We're recording this ahead of a huge game at Old Trafford, Manchester United, Chelsea, but they were all in action at the weekend. There's a lot of talk about who is bottling the top four because all three of them have had a wobble.
It does seem that way, yeah.
It seems like it, doesn't it? So this is what the lads on Last Fan Standing had to say about it.
If you're looking at the top race for the top four, from the start of the season, Man United have got to be considered the biggest bottle jobs here because
it shouldn't have even been a race thing. It shouldn't have even been who's going to get fourth. United should have just been who's going to get third with Chelsea. Like, it shouldn't have even been coming down to this. Even when you look at the fact that the way Arsenal have dropped points, Spurs have dropped points, even with us being rubbish and having an interim manager, when you look at the teams that we dropped points against, we dropped 3 points at Old Trafford. About a week before Villa sacked their manager. It's like I think Everton got a point at Old Trafford not long before they sacked Rafa Benitez. We just dropped stupid points all over the gaff. So United have bottled it the most out of everyone. Who are the biggest bottle jobs out of these two? I think Spurs are.
Well, that's not the question. It's not
what's the question?
It's not. I realise we're the biggest bottle jobs. I'm asking you who will bottle the top four race.
Oh, sorry. This is again hope rather than expectation, like many of my predictions. I hope Spurs do it. I think Arsenal could bottle it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Manchester, Adam there going in. Talking about Manchester United who have, I won't say been bottling it, but they have thrown a lot
just
of
crap.
points away.
Can we just say just crap?
Yeah, they have been crap.
They're just crap, aren't they?
Because we saw like Arsenal were flying and then all of a sudden had them 3 defeats on the run. And they of course played Manchester United at the weekend. United had defeated Everton, beat Norwich, hammered at Anfield, and then obviously went to Arsenal at the weekend and lost the game by 3 goals to 1. Which was a big win for Arteta, wasn't it? They'd had the win at Chelsea, which stopped their terrible run. To beat 2 kind of rivals in a few days.
Brilliant 6 points for them. It wasn't a great game. And Man United did control large parts of it. But obviously a 2-1 missing a penalty.
Yeah.
But both of them just very average teams. But Arsenal, what I would say is, a very young side, moving in the right direction. And Man United just look a mess. And obviously they're bringing in a new manager, which is what they need. He needs to get hold of that squad, needs to get hold of the players. You listen to people like Scott McTominay, who's a very sort of honest footballer. You know, he's not blessed with loads of quality. And when you listen to someone him talking about the squad, it does. If I was a Man United fan, you know, and I know Man United fans are quite switched on to what's happening at their club, very much like, you know, we've been this season to ours. It's that is a big rebuilding job for a club that some people did actually fancy for the league this season. But oddly, you know, I know they finished second last year, but last year was a very strange Premier League. But Arsenal, you know, they had lost. I think they'd lost 3 in a row, haven't they, till Chelsea, but they've picked it back up now, and maybe they've had their little blip, and maybe now they'll get themselves into that 4th place. But we'll wait and see. It's there's a few games to go.
Well, they've got the big game will be Tottenham Arsenal, won't it? I think that's on the 11th of May. I think it is. So that'll be a big one. There's 2 points between them. Spurs. Well, you know, Arsenal beat United 3-1. Early game, half-12 game, and Tottenham were playing in the half-5 game, weren't they? And going to Brentford with the opportunity to get back above Arsenal and get level again with Arsenal and drop points. And that's a couple of games now they haven't scored in after going on a great run. And for them, they'll be looking at it.
They beat Villa, didn't they? 4-0, and then
beat Villa, batter Villa, and then
got beat by last week Brighton 1-0, and then another. And then 0-0 again, so another, you know, not been into scoring in a team that's been scoring for fun. And, you know, this is not the time for them to have a blip. They do have that. If they can pick it back up, they do have that game against Arsenal. It will come down almost like as a must-win now. That's the problem. They've been in a position the last couple of weeks before that Brighton game where the Arsenal game would have been simply a don't lose, but now it's becoming a don't. You've got to win, and
especially because Spurs have got a better goal difference. Spurs 6 goals better than Arsenal, so had they won, just a don't lose, still gives them the upper hand, and both 5 games to play, 2 points separating them now.
Yeah.
So disappointing for them too.
Yeah, but I do think it is between those two. I think Man United are. There's no belief, I don't think, at Man United that they can get it. No. Just don't think the players believe, and Pogba apparently's got an injured now and is out for the rest of the season.
Well, they're 6 points behind Arsenal, and Arsenal got a game in hand, and they're 4 points behind Spurs, and Spurs have got a game in hand. So there's a lot for United to do. They're about to play the 35th game of the season. Arsenal only play 33 at the moment. So, especially when your players come out, and we've heard it recently, come out and say things like, got nothing to play. Bruno Fernandes said there's like nothing to play for or something, and you've heard others, I think it might have been Fred or one of them saying, we've got an interim manager, it can't, almost like it doesn't matter, or it's weird because we know he's not going to be here and all that. You should be thinking about yourselves as a team.
For the club, Champions League football, surely it should be again, if it's another season, Man United not getting Champions League football. I know they've had it this year, but it should be unthinkable for a club like Manchester United not to be in the Champions League. And I find that very strange. If I was a fan of that club and you weren't throwing everything at winning games, then I do find that very strange. So and then obviously they will be in the Europa League. Which did they really want that?
No, it is a bit mad. The other team who are in, we just mentioned United playing Chelsea. They beat West Ham 1-0 on Sunday.
They did, yeah.
West Ham concentrating, it seems, on the Europa League.
Yeah.
Rest of the few of their players, Rice, Antonio, people like that. Chelsea, after having 2 bad home defeats, 4-1 and 4-2, got back to winning ways, and they're 5 points ahead of Arsenal. I think they win tonight. I think that's them in the top 4, secured. And then it's one place then, isn't it, for those other teams, well, Spurs and thingy. Because this is the game in hand, of course. So win tonight to put Chelsea 8 points ahead of Arsenal, level games, and would put them 10 ahead of Spurs on level games.
Yeah.
So, while a United win, give them 57 points, albeit Arsenal have 2 games in hand. I think Chelsea win tonight. I think that's them in the top 4 secured as well. So big one. Moving to the other teams at the top of the league, we may as well do that. Manchester City played on Saturday, beat Watford 5-1. Yeah. Gabriel Jesus, who'd been linked with Arsenal in the week, ended up getting 4 goals. Yeah. City won it at a canter.
Yeah, scored nice and early, didn't he? And that just set them off. Maybe people were worried. I think City fans maybe a little bit worried that they would park the bus and make it very difficult. But they scored early on, and then Watford couldn't live with them, and they obviously ran away with it, and got the 3 points.
In the top of the league, and Liverpool played on the Sunday, and obviously in the Merseyside derby won 2-0 to close the gap again. And it looks like the pair of them are going to have to win every single game, doesn't it?
Yeah, anyone who drops points now, just a draw could be costly, could it could be the end of them. Could be the end, and they mightn't get that back because both teams look like it's mad. It's funny because both teams look like they'll win every game, but at the same time, it only takes that one frustrating game where someone, we've seen it City at Palace a few weeks ago. They had all the shots and
Well, Liverpool in the derby on Sunday were frustrated for 62 minutes, weren't they? And weren't the flow themselves, couldn't get any inroads. So it can happen. But it's certainly going to be interesting. Going off that to the bottom then, obviously, Burnley. had already won last Thursday against Southampton, followed it up with a win against Wolves.
Yeah.
Beat them 1-0, so that's 6 points from the 2 home games, 7 points in 9 since sacking Sean Dyche to climb out the bottom 3 at Everton's expense. So they've hit form at the right time, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, unfortunately for us.
Yeah.
And obviously Leeds drew with Palace 0-0. So, yeah, great time to obviously sack Dyche. Great time to start winning games. You know, if you look at it from an Everton point of view, obviously lost the Merseyside derby, but showed a bit more about themselves. Everton have to win 1 more game than Burnley. They have to win 2 more games than Leeds if they want to stay in the Premier League. It's difficult at this time of year. Difficult when you're not in any kind of form, and Burnley have just, sadly for us, have hit some form. And you know, you mentioned there, you know, Watford got beat, so they look pretty much down. You know, Norwich got beat 3-0 by a resurgent Newcastle, who are up into the top half now. So Norwich look down as well. So Burnley will be looking at it, thinking they've dragged Leeds back into it. As I said, Leeds have got a tough end of the season, and you know, it's obviously because there's not many points in it. It looks like it's gonna go down to the last 2 or 3 games of the season. You know, Everton and Burnley play on that Thursday night ahead of the last game of the season on the Sunday. So it might go down to those 2 games, but certainly from an Everton point of view, it's very, very worrying at the moment because Burnley have got the momentum, and Everton haven't had momentum all season apart from the first 6 weeks of the season. So, yeah, very, very scary times.
No, it is. It is. Obviously, Everton, 6 wins keeps them up.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is, isn't it? If Everton win more games than Burnley, they'll stay up. But it is. They're in a very precarious position. Burnley have got some form. Leeds have on a decent little run as well. So Everton have got to find some wins from somewhere and hope the other 2 buckle. Leeds have got an awful run of games now, where they mightn't get many points, but they've got the cushion.
They have, but as I said, Everton would have to win 2 more games than them. You know, and
can't see that. At the moment,
of course, Everton have got a game in hand. It's just, yeah.
It is. It's between those 3, isn't it? Villa have got 37 points.
Yeah.
They'll be all right. They drew 0-0 with Leicester. In one of the other games, which is 2 teams with the flip-flops.
2 teams with nothing to play for.
Just played out a nice little 0-0 draw. Yeah, and then, you know, Wolves will be disappointed because they've still in with a shout for the Europa League. Obviously, losing that game at Burnley will be frustrating for them because they'd have looked at that and thinking, we can win this. Still got a game in hand on West Ham, who are 3 points ahead of them. And they've got a game in hand on Manchester United, but they're 5 points ahead of them. But it looks like the top 8 is going to be those teams. Newcastle in 9th, unbelievably, 6 points behind them. So Wolves' European aspirations may well have ended. Yeah. Let's have a look at the league then. Before we finish, Manchester City, 80 points from 33 games. Liverpool have got 79 from 33. Chelsea, who play Manchester United tonight, they've got 65 from 32 games. And Arsenal have got 60 from 33, and Spurs 58 from 33. At the bottom end of the table, Norwich 21 from 33, Watford 22 from 33. You'd say those 2 are gone. For me, they're gone. And then Everton have got 29 from 32, Burnley 31 from 32, and Leeds 34 from 33. So for Everton perspective, it's worrying that gap is there, but all 3 of those teams have got to just keep trying to win games of football and see how it ends. But it's going to be very interesting. It's still, you know, relegations, there's something up for, you know, still fighting for that. The European football still fighting for places in that. And the title, obviously, is going to go right to the wire as well. So for the Premier League, they'll be quite happy that the story's going in all over the gaff. Just very quickly, you've got an idea that you think would help the middle of the league.
I do, and I do generally think this is an actual idea that is not just pie in the sky.
Not concrete football.
No, not concrete
one.
football or football or football in the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
I think that the last European place, wherever it is,
So the conference place.
Well, yeah.
No,
because the conference would be the FA Cup, wouldn't it? I'm saying it
Oh,
depends
so
where
it falls, yeah.
which can lead this to just being a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. But I think that should be a playoff.
Okay.
14 playoffs should go for that. And I think if that was this season with the it will be 7th place this season because of the way obviously the cups and everything have fallen. If you had a 14 playoff, then as we stand now, Aston Villa could qualify for Europe. So imagine the incentive for the clubs between, 15th to 7th right now could all get into Europe. And I think it would keep the whole of the league entertaining. But you also wouldn't get, if teams took it seriously, any of those flip-flop games. Southampton would still have something to play for. Crystal Palace would still have something to play for. Villa would still have something to play for. Especially if you took out, let's say West Ham and Leicester won European trophies this season, so they would be out of the playoff. They wouldn't need to be in the playoffs. So, though it could be conceivable that a Villa or a Palace or a Newcastle could be in the playoffs, and I honestly think, when you look at the way the league is now and the way we've got teams, these hierarchy of teams, that middle section needs something to keep it going for that. There's too many teams who are just sit in the middle of the table and that's all they've got to go for. Imagine giving them some little incentive. It would be 2 extra games if you won it. And of course, if they ever thought about doing this, and by the way, they do this in Holland.
No.
And they do it in other countries as well. Right, and I'm not talking about the Champions League. I'm talking about, say, if the conference, or the Euro, and of course, there's be little things like when would it be played, and I'd do it literally if the season finished on the Sunday. I'd have it Wednesday and have it on the Saturday or whatever, however it fell, and yeah, I honestly think it's a good. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a keep. If that was happening this season, every single team in the Premier League right now would have something to play for.
Who wanted it? Because some clubs don't want it, do they? Clearly.
Well, if you don't, but then.
But in general, yeah, if you're like Newcastle, they'd be delighted with it, wouldn't they? We would have been last year.
I think every club would be. I think every club would send a team out. It sends a team out. It's like if you want to, you send a team out like Southampton did last week at Burnley. How much do you want it? Well, if you don't want it, you don't want it. But then on Sunday when they're playing Brighton, they wanted it to come back from 2-2. They played Brighton, they were 2-0 down, they drew 2-2. Two teams have got nothing to play for, two teams in the middle of the table. But because it was a local derby, they actually went for it. But imagine there'd been actually something on that game. No,
it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Newcastle now be thinking, we can get Europe, we've got momentum. And then suddenly, and I suddenly think... I
think the opportunity's there. I think it possibly have to be for the Conference League because that's the lowest ranked one.
When you hear people though talk about like, if you win the FA Cup, you should get Champions League. No, this actually makes more sense. I think it make the whole league competitive to the end of the season, and you wouldn't get, or you shouldn't get, any freebies. Where teams are going to the last game of the season and they're playing someone who's got absolutely nothing to play for. Whether it be, and we know what happens.
You can't negate that because sometimes teams 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th wouldn't be able to qualify because the others
maybe on the last day of the season, yeah.
But you're right now, the way the league's fell this year, everyone, Villa would like you've said, Villa are 6 points behind Newcastle, but there's 5 games left. They could go, well, if we keep, we might still be able to get this or whatever, yeah. No, it's interesting. Why not? Give it a little extra, oomph, yeah. There you go. Let us know what you think in the comments section below about Ped's idea. If you want to watch the rest of that video, make sure you get over to Last Fan Standing. The link is in the description. Click on that, give it a comment. Give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want more videos, join us live on Patreon. The link is in the description and the QR code is on the screen. See you later.